Welcome to another episode of Club 30. Excited for this conversation. We're going to be talking about Michael Jackson's Invincible. Randall, what's up?
It's been a while since I've talked to you and seen everybody. So hopefully everybody out there is all right. I'm doing well, and I'm looking forward to having some banter about this album with all of y'all. So let's get into it.
Yes, let's get into it. You guys may have heard me previously on their podcast. It has been going strong since 2019. Their podcast offers a unique Black perspective on Michael Jackson and his art, the Jacksons, so much more. They have a Patreon that's popping. I want to introduce to you guys the Black Jackson Estate. Nikki, Latoya, welcome.
Hi.
Hey.
We're so excited. Oh my gosh.
We're super excited.
Here.
Thank you so much for inviting us. And we're so amped. We've been listening to the Subject album all day, getting prepared for this. So thank you so much for inviting us on your show.
Yeah. And with our, I mean, I feel like this is like the crew, and I'm so excited.
Oh, for sure.
Yes,
it
is.
Together. Like, it's perfect.
Invincible. Let's just jump right into it, okay? I'm going to start us off with just some basic facts about the album, and then we're going to go into where you guys were when Invincible came out and like just a general conversation. Michael Jackson's 10th and final studio album. We say 10 because we are including the Motown solo albums as well. It was released on October 30th, 2001 by Epic Records. 77 minutes long, 16 tracks, 14 of which were written or co-written by Michael Jackson. It was certified double platinum in the United States in January 2002. Invincible debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 albums chart in the United States and 10 other countries worldwide. And the album came out in 5 special colors. Which I feel like is really important to mention. I don't know why, but like that was cool, right?
That was super cool.
I
gotta say, like I definitely went and found my orange insert cover for this. This was super cool because if one of those colors was your favorite,
that's the one
you went and got it. That's the one you went and got, and that's definitely the one I went and got. So this is special for the folks that were there. We were there.
I wasn't able to. Well, I could have gotten some, but that was also when the other 2001 special editions came out at the same time. So I bought all of those along with Invincible as opposed to getting 6 Invincibles because
Listen, we were kids. 6 Invincibles sounds rich.
Right. That was all your little check. That's all your little money. Yeah.
Sounds rich. Sounds very rich that you could do all 6 colors at one time.
It's funny because those colors, I feel like that's kind of like a holy grail item that a lot of fans look for now when they search for the album online. I believe if you try to buy it now, all you really see is the gray, which is technically the white cover. Mm-hmm. I think I had the white, and then I lifted from my parents the green and the red.
Lifted. That's a very clever use of word.
You borrowed it.
I borrowed it.
There you go.
So those are now in my possession.
Wow.
There you go. Now it's yours, honey. It's yours. Yeah.
Yeah. If you've had it over a year, then it belongs to you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know not to leave none of my stuff around y'all.
Absolutely. Because you know how you people get. You know how you people get. I've been handling it for so long now. It's mine. No, it's not. It's not yours.
The amnesia sets in and the whole story takes place. Like, no, I bought this myself with my money. No, you
Are you sure I got it from your house? I don't remember that. Yeah.
Well, now this brings me to the question, because since we mentioned we were all there, where were you guys when Invincible came out? What was your initial reaction to the album?
Ladies.
You know, Invincible, I don't remember exactly where I was. It's not like one of those flashbulb moments for me, but I do remember the first time like I heard You Rock My World, which was the really the only actual single from the album. And I know it was at my grandmother's house because we didn't have cable at our house. So in order to see the video, we had to be at my grandma's house. And I just remember I was in probably like 10th grade or 9th or 10th grade or something like that. This was in 2001. So let's see. I was in the 9th grade. This is what, when did you say it dropped? December 2001. That was
October
it?
30th.
October. Okay. So, I mean, I just remember being at my grandma's house, watching the video, thinking that Michael looked so cool with his fedora and the bandana wrapped around and the short hair. And he's like chasing this girl in this like bar. I just thought it was the best thing I had ever seen from Michael Jackson. And it felt fresh and like a product of its time. And I had to get the album then. Then I had to get it because Michael's up here patting this girl on the booty and fighting people in the bar.
And
swinging on them
with lip liner. We love a man in lip liner
and
who fights.
Full choreo. I mean, my God, who fights through a dance sequence? Michael Jackson.
He killed it. And let me say this. So I was the Michael fan in the house. And if you guys don't, if you're new to us and you haven't heard our podcast, I talk about this, how You Rock My World was the video that introduced me to Michael Jackson for real. I knew who he was, but that was the video I saw. And I was like, oh my God, he is gorgeous. And this is crazy. All the sequence, I'm in love. I was in love at that point. Okay. It was done for me. So by the time Invincible came out, I was knee deep in the Michael universe, right? I loved his stuff. I was so excited for this album to drop. My sister had no choice but to ride the wave with me. And that's just a fact. So when it came out, me and my friends in middle school, we were like actually really amped about this album because he was so huge. So you talk about our parents' generation, the generation before them, Michael's generation, right? They were excited about this and it was so big. It was also coming on 106 and Park. I mean, Michael was showing up in our spaces, right? As teens and preteens. So it was so easy to get excited. And we were at a 10. We were at a level 10 for this Michael album to drop. The day it dropped, I don't know if it was the day, but it definitely was in the week. I had to go get that Orange Insert album. I knew it was out and I had to go get it. And I went and got it, and it was the best thing for me. I remember putting it in my CD player. Y'all remember that CD player had that little sound before as it was starting up? You know, man, when that first track dropped, I was so hooked. It was like, it was the best thing, And so, as a middle schooler, honestly, this was all we talked about. And I kid you not, you guys think like, oh, Michael was 40 something years old and the kids didn't know. No, that's not true. We were on it. Like, it was the Black kids, right? We were all over it, right? We were all over this album. Our teachers were on this. Our teachers were on this album, allowing us to talk about it. It was just such an amazing moment in history and in our cultural history, and the moment for us. I spun it, I don't know how many times. I'm still spinning it. Let me be clear. I'm still spinning it and learning new stuff about what Michael was trying to do, what he was saying. You feel it differently as an adult. Some of the lyrics and things hit differently because you've had more life experience. So when I say Invincible is Invincible for me is Thriller for somebody else. I wasn't alive when Thriller hit, but when Michael Jackson decided to release a huge album after years of sitting and watching everybody else, watching Usher and watching, all these other children of his do their thing. No offense, because we love Usher, okay? Shout out to Usher because we've seen the show and go see it again, okay? But when he watched all his kids do his thing and he stepped back in the space, Daddy's home. Shout out to Usher again. Man, he killed it. He killed it, and we were all over this album. If you weren't there, man, I don't know what to say to you. You just weren't there. I'm sorry.
That reminds me of the interview that came out around that time when Steve Harvey was like, Usher, put your shirt back on.
Sisqo, Usher, put your shirt on. Mike is back. He's crazy, Mike. He's crazy. And let your back up. Put your hand up, boy. The king is back. Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that was kind of the group that he was coming out against while this, during the early 2000s.
Absolutely. Early 2000s was crazy, right? So you said Sisqo. Matter of fact, I was just talking about Sisqo. I never get on Facebook, but I jumped on Facebook because I was in the gym and Thong Song came on. And I remembered how amped we were in 1999. As the kids say, in 1999, we were so amped about the Thong Song. We didn't know quite what he was talking about, but we knew that we liked the song and it was so big, right? But Sisqo, a direct a direct descendant of Michael Jackson, right? With the one glove he had, and even in that video, all the moves he did the moonwalk, right? In the Dawn Song video on the beach, which is crazy. If you have not seen anyone do the moonwalk on the beach, go watch Sisqo do it, because he does it masterfully, and he does that one hand cartwheel. I don't know.
Yes.
He does all of it, but these are Michael's kids, right? So you're right. Michael had to come back and show, like, hold on a second. I know y'all killing the game right now, but I am that guy. And he did that. Invincible is where he did that for sure.
Latoya.
Yes.
It based on the story that you told, it sounds like you grew up a Michael fan. Is that?
Yeah,
accurate?
so I was a Michael fan because my sister was a Michael fan. I like all she played on her CD player was Michael Jackson. And so by default, I became a Michael fan because he's freaking talented, right? But I didn't start there. I started as like, why are you listening to Michael Jackson every day, all day? And then by the time 2001 rolled around, everybody was hyped. We were both hyped for the new video and for whatever Michael was doing. Now, she was more into the message boards than I was.
Yep.
But
shout out to Ashley Blue. That's how we met on the Michael message boards.
But the music, the videos, the VH1 all day, pop-up videos, all of that stuff, like we were on it. At my grandma's house, though, because like I said, we didn't have no cable stuff.
We didn't have cable, but let me tell you this. So our rooms at our mom's house were adjacent, right? So basically I would be playing Michael, she would be playing NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, and it's like you swap music. You're like, hold on, what was that track you was just playing? Like let me bring you my CD. I'm bring you bring me your CD. Like let's hear this. So if you got siblings, that's kind of how it goes. So you end up becoming a fan of the artists your siblings are into. And yeah, man, I played Michael so much. My mom was like, why are you always playing Michael? And I was like, because he's good. And but that's how we got into it. And my sister was just like, I remember my sister coming to me and going, hey, let me get that Off the Wall album. Let me I want to spin that. So yeah, like she had no choice. It was indoctrination. Absolutely. 100%.
Got you. So I asked because my story is somewhat similar to Nikki's in that Invincible was my introduction to Michael. So like I think it was October 2001. I was 10th grade. I remember there was a moment up in the promotion that we're gonna talk about later that really made me a fan. But that was the moment that I started getting into Michael. So when Invincible dropped, I'm like fresh. This is my first time being a part of the community and the collective of like being a fan and like absorbing and consuming everything. My journey was very insular. Like I didn't have a sister or a sibling to share it with. It was just me in my headphones in my room with my white/gray CD and the 2001 special edition going alongside it when those got released at the same time. And everything else, like y'all were saying, being on 106 and Park and BET and seeing the video, I had known of Michael before. I remember watching the HBO special in my mom's room. I remember being 96, 97, those summers, and my mom playing the Dangerous album and me wondering what them sounds are on Why You Want to Trip on Me, because it was just so weird to me at 10 years old. I didn't know what that was, but it made me, Invincible was the album that made me go back and understand really who Michael was. And I started hitting message boards like how you were talking about and joining a whole bunch of those and getting to know folks digitally, virtually. And also, y'all don't know about this either, because y'all wasn't born in 1900s, but I was getting active on LimeWire and Kazaa. Discovering the man at the same way too. So, those were some formative years, I would say. And I just remember being in class and the Invincible album coming out. I'm just like, why? I don't know about y'all, but in my experience, my peers were like not super jamming to this. This is like you were saying, Sisqo out, Genuine out, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, all these other folks out. Ludacris was out because I'm from Atlanta, so like that's the type of stuff they was listening to. I'm like, why is nobody hopping on this Invincible album? Like this is the new hotness. Y'all you know, the Men in Black, like old and busted, new hotness. Like that's what I felt like. So that's where I came in.
I love that you mentioned that and like what other people were listening to at the time. We're going to talk a lot more about our favorite songs and all that, but I did want to mention the fact that You Rock My World, some of these singles, they did have an impact. You Rock My World was the first single you guys mentioned. We talked a little bit about the video earlier and how I felt like it kind of like made Michael made him like a part of, I don't know. In the past videos, I feel like he was like otherworldly, and this video was very like realistic in a way. But that single was released August 2001. Next single, Butterflies, released November 27th, 2001, only as a promo, whatever that means. And then Cry was released in December as a single in Europe only. And I wanted to let you guys know that You Rock My World did reach number 10 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and was nominated for a Grammy. So knowing all of that, the 3 singles, all that, thinking back, what were your favorite songs then and now, if they've changed? I will start off and I will say that one of my favorite songs definitely was You Rock My World, just because of the fact that I felt like it was very unique. It was very with the times. Chris Tucker was on there doing the skit with him in the beginning, which always love an album skit back in the day when they used to actually do those. And I really loved Break of Dawn. Like, to me, that song was just so, I don't know, it just took you to another galaxy. Like, it took you to another place. And that's what I really always loved about Michael's music, like that escapism and everything. So I would say that those are 2 of the songs that I've always loved. And recently, I've gotten a lot more into Butterflies. And I think it's a shame that there were no videos for anything really besides You Rock My World and Cry, which
he wasn't
doesn't count as a video. Right. Like, to me, that doesn't count.
Wait a minute, I forgot, y'all. They did a visual for Cry.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of people holding hands.
You're right. I had to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even a Who Is It situation where Michael showed up for 2 seconds. He
there
was
you go.
Or Liberian Girl where he was just in the end. It literally was like, I'm not coming.
Right.
Figure it out.
We could do a prison version now, you know.
Oh no.
Wait.
No.
Oh.
Well, he up here. He right up here in Button.
I think he's probably a
he ain't
prison preacher now. Yeah, we could do a prison version. Yeah.
Was this?
It would be good.
It was fully written by the R, right? Fully written by
the
R.
R.
Or was it a collab? Okay.
No, the R. The R. What I loved about, but let me say this: what I love about him is that he wrote these songs with Michael in mind.
Yeah.
So when he wrote them and he recorded the demos, it's all with where the he's and the who's and all the like, that he so much studied Michael Jackson that he could. This is why. So let's forget about the other stuff. This is why his tracks could be picked up as a album track. You think about other people who were trying to collab with Michael, but you got to really put yourself in Michael's space. And R. Kelly was able to do that in a way I think a lot of other artists weren't. He's just so talented. I don't know, and I know everybody's got different opinions, but I will say this: recently online, I've seen people appreciating and showing love for the Trapped in the Closet series, right? And the ability to tell a story, and that really resonated with Michael because that's how he was taught to understand songs, telling a story and really resonating with people at a story level. R. Kelly really has that gift, and it shows up in Cry. It shows up in You Are Not Alone. It shows up in these spaces where you hear him being able to create tracks that Michael Jackson finds impactful in order to include. I don't think there's any other artist that he's included on his albums as consistently from outside of what would statistically be his realm, like R. Kelly. And I think he just did a magnificent job, even with Cry. It's a Michael Jackson song, but R. Kelly wrote it.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
You're right. I mean, it's easy to forget, right? Like, because, and I love that R. Kelly didn't try to make himself the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's got credit where it's supposed to be given, but he never in Invincible. Who saw R. Kelly doing interviews saying, "Oh, I was on Invincible," and you didn't see it. You just either know or you don't know that he's a part of this. Is
that a knock at Marsha Ambrosius?
No, because I love her.
Because yeah, well, I mean, Marsha been talking about that recently a lot too. Her Butterflies track, but I love how she tells a story.
Yeah,
I feel like that's all she talks about nowadays. Recently,
but I'm fine with that because
listen, if I was her, I'd be talking about it too. Listen, did I tell you about that time I was on Michael Jackson's album?
So so I'm just curious, what's the context in which she's talking about it, or is she just like reminiscing on?
She's just telling the story.
Yeah, she's on like podcasts and things, and they ask her about it, like they prompt her and say, what was it like we're in the studio working with him, and she usually says like, I can't believe this man that I've admired and looked up to is asking me to produce him, and like telling me that I want to sing it just like you sang it on the track, and tell me if it's wrong, all that type of stuff. And she's like 21, 22 at the time. So yeah, like MJFANGIRL, how you were talking about Butterflies, I remember that getting a lot of spins on urban radio because of the remix with Eve. So yes, exactly.
I just did a video on that. I didn't really do a video on it. I just played the songs because a lot of people didn't know that there was the Butterflies remix with Eve, and and yes, Jay-Z on You Rock My World.
That's right.
Yeah, shout out to Jay-Z on You Rock My World. Yeah, that got us that got Michael a lot of, because he was on that Hot 97 show, right? Where he was on.
He was at Summer Jam.
He was at Summer Jam. Yeah, that's a big one. Jay-Z definitely, like Jay-Z came through because this was the same time he did like "Excuse Me, Miss, what's your name?"
Yes.
Like Jay-Z was showing a lot of love to the artists that inspired and gave them a lot of lift in moving forward in the music industry. Eve, shout out to Eve, because I think she's got a book out now if anybody's interested in her creative story. But she's just so talented, man. She's so talented. From music to a whole sitcom. They got multiple seasons. Yeah, like got multiple seasons. So shout out to Eve, man. That's crazy. But she was on that. You're right. She was on that Butterflies track. Just something that got a lot of spin on your R&B and urban station in the early 2000s. A big push because it had no video and no real promotion. Right. Yeah, no real promotion. And shout out to Tommy Mottola.
I was shouting him out. Okay.
Shout out to Tommy Mottola.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna get into my favorite songs on the album, like you were saying. So like,
there you go. There you go.
It's so funny because I was gonna go off on that tangent too, but go ahead, Randall. I was gonna go right down that rabbit hole. Like, yeah, Tommy.
Shout out to Tommy Mottola.
But so like
favorite songs.
Yeah, Butterflies is like tier 2 of my favorite songs on this album. So
what?
I'm gonna walk through, and one of them you gonna be like, you should delete your internet. So I got 4.
Can we delete him preemptively?
No, you don't even know what he's gonna say. You let this man talk.
So number one, Unbreakable, like y'all said, when the first song dropped, I was like, why is this not the title of the album? Like, this hard. This reminds me of how Dangerous opened with Damn. Even though it was like a little too self-referential, it's still jammed. Like, I still, no pun intended, like I still love the song. Break of Dawn is what I like more than Butterflies. But Break of Dawn is the one song that he played when Tommy walked in the studio and was like, what you got? Like, he didn't play the whole album. He was like, listen to this. And then Tommy went crazy and was like, oh, this album finna be fire. Just a side of trivia aside. So anyway, like, I love Break of Dawn. I know that was included in the number ones project later on. Like, should have been number one, should have been a single to me. Threatened, I liked a lot. I like the creative Twilight Zone rap from Rod Sterling when they stitched a whole bunch of them songs. It's a whole bunch of his words together from different episodes. You can actually find a YouTube video the way they like kind of cut it to the videos of the episodes where it's from. And then Whatever Happens, I love a lot. And then my fifth song, I like it because people don't like it, but I just found it just
Don't say nothing crazy.
Off the Wall.
Don't say nothing crazy. Okay, go ahead. Don't say it.
What you think I'm gonna say?
If you talk about them children that's in the streets.
Oh no.
Nobody likes the children now.
Nobody I listen to this. I listen to this song every now and then, just because I like the modulation in it. 2,000 watts.
Please don't.
I love that. You're fine. I love that. I'm with you. I'm Team Randall. I love that song. Love that song.
You right up until that point.
No, he said some things. That's a bar, as the kids would say. That's a bar. He said some things.
You feel me? Controversy.
Yeah.
Controversy.
Mm-hmm. It is controversy, but it's true. It's true. It's true.
I can't. I'm so sorry. Like,
why y'all hate this song so much? What am I missing? Why y'all hate this song so much?
Not good. Okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We love that. We love it.
Oh my god.
We love it.
And then he goes, I'm like, what's happening right now?
Y'all not real, bro.
But y'all hating on Tyrese.
I
thought
those were Tyrese's vocals that they tried to pass off like them Casio tracks.
Well, I actually heard that 2,000 watts is like a double. It's not a double entendre, but it's like a metaphor for adult conversations.
Oh, that brings a whole different level of.
Yeah, I got to sit back and think about
it. Probably.
Well, I got to sit back and think about it because did Michael get that?
I don't know if that's true. I just, I read that.
I didn't hear that. I didn't. But you know what? That's something to think about.
Yes.
But I mean, can I go to like hitting my peak? Yeah, I got you. I'm with you. I love that song.
You guys,
first of all,
This is the trivia episode that I never knew that I needed right now. I'm learning so much. Between the Break It Dawn thing with Tommy Mottola and now this.
You know me.
Come with the facts.
Yeah.
Come with the facts. Yeah.
Always.
I mean, that's a good, like, I'm going to have to echo MJFANGIRL with You Rock My World for sure. That's like the marquee song on the album, period. Because we got a visual, and also it's just a really good. It's Michael Jackson, right? It reminds you of a Michael Jackson track, so you got to give that. You got to give, but also to what Randall has said, Unbreakable, man. That's Angry Michael. We love Angry Michael. Like Jam is Angry Michael. Ain't too much for me, and you can try and stop me, but it won't do a thing. No matter what you do, I'm still gonna be here, and I think that's just so Michael Jackson, right? He had at this point in his life weathered so many serious storms, and for him to come back and say, listen, you tried to knock me out of the game, but I'm still here. Brandy gave some vocals to that track. Of course you had BIG in with some, adding in some lyrics. So just a great song. And Butterflies is just amazing. It gave the ladies what the ladies were looking for from Michael, which he did not want to give the ladies a lot of times, which is just the tenderness of, a love song. He gave us that. Threatened was a la Thriller. And he just, Whatever Happens for me is actually one of my favorite tracks, and Don't Walk Away, because they were things that you like, can you really compare it to something else he'd done? I felt that they really were standalones of him stretching himself. And I love the idea of stretching yourself, right, in your craft. Michael was stretching himself with some of these songs, like, Don't Walk Away and Whatever Happens. And I think even, the Babyface track, You Are the Sun, You Make Me Shine.
Oh, You Are My Life.
There you go. You Are My Life. Again, like just giving us something that we really hadn't gotten from Michael in a long time and delivering it very well. I think Invincible gave us a little bit of this and that and the third for it to be his final. He didn't know it. We didn't know it. But for it to be the final, he really gave his audience something to hold on to, right? From different spaces of his maturity and artistry, and I thought that was just phenomenal. It's a great album. I will complain about some things that he did on it, but truthfully, it's a
I'm gonna
really
say you
good
being
album.
real nice, because when we've had this Invincible conversation on the pod, you've had a lot to say.
Spicy.
Okay, we're just gonna keep it.
I mean, be clear, right? Like, I don't like the kids song about the lost kids. just if they're in the woods, if they're in the woods, if they're in the woods, they can build a tent. They're fine. Okay.
It was birds and everything in that one. There was a lot going on.
I didn't really like that. I don't even know that I really liked Invincible, but I don't know that I needed it. And there's some other things, but but overall, I mean, it's a good album. It's a good album. It gets a lot of hate online, right? Are we being honest? It gets a lot of hate online, but
there shall be no slander on this. This show.
I think I mean, we're probably gonna get into it, but I think it's measuring Michael against himself when you hear that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it is yes, you done gave us the Quincy albums, you done gave us Dangerous History by now. So quote unquote, what is this? And then also the taste of the audience might have changed or did change at the time. Because like we were talking about, there's a whole bunch of descendants of Michael in the marketplace in different forms. Beyonce was just coming out, or Destiny's Child was just coming out, Sisqo, Genuine, like everybody, Usher, Justin, like a whole bunch of folks. Aaliyah as well. I was thinking about her earlier. So also competing with the current at that time marketplace. I think people measuring that against them too, for what it's worth. And I think they gave it short shrift, which I wish they didn't, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah. And I guess I like the whole album minus the children and minus 2000 watts, but everything else I love.
Wow. You like You Are My Life over 2000 watts. That's a choice.
Well, 2000 watts is a choice as well. So I see you see me.
Oh,
we were cool up until you said 2000 watts. Now, Randall, we ain't cool, but Speechless is great. Heaven Can Wait. Always.
Oh my God.
Me like, I love Heaven Can Wait.
I forgot about that.
Oh, that's
in my top tier too. That's in my top tier too.
Unbreakable. That's when I was in corporate America. That was my theme song. I would ride to work.
Was that your days. Break My Soul of 2001?
Oh, yes. Yes. I would ride to work, blaring it on repeat, because y'all not going to break me today, especially if you work in customer service or work with people. Unbreakable. That was my ride to work song. I mean, I like Heartbreaker, to be really honest. I like the bridge, and the Heartbreaker always like makes me happy. So I mean, it's a good album. I love Invincible, but The Lost Children we could have done without. That was clearly a Michael putting his foot down, saying that I'm just going in there. I got my kids on the track. I'm talking about kids, so kids, and we putting it in there. And then, like I said, 2000 watts, it to each his own. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying it's not for me.
Now, speaking of what we like and what we don't on the album, I wanted to bring this up because I feel like there is a missing piece that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to Invincible. For me personally, and for I think a lot of people, there is the thought that this was Michael's return to R&B and his kind of R&B roots. I know you mentioned earlier about Off the Wall, and like how this album might be most similar to that if we take a look at his broader catalog. So my question is, why, again, is this such an underrated album? And is it only underrated in a certain section of the fandom or of the community? Because to me, I feel like in the Black community and in urban radio, Invincible was embraced. I remember hearing both You Rock My World, Butterflies. I remember even hearing Heaven Can Wait, You Are My Life on the radio station in New York City. And I want to know from you guys, what are your thoughts around that? Just in general, then and now.
I think it's underrated? I think it's rated. I think it's rated. I think Invincible. Also, let me take it back. Let me take it back a step. So, y'all, the advent of the CD, if we remember this, we were children. It was like the late 80s. And so Michael, being the enterprising artist that he is, he's like, oh, we got almost 80 minutes of music now that we can put on an album instead of like, you know, the 50 or whatever it was, because they were tied to vinyl. And so Dangerous was like the first opus type of album that he came out with, where he had like everything on there. He had hip hop, he had gospel, he had rock, he had a whole bunch of stuff on it. And that effort was really good. I think Invincible probably did not need to be subject to that same framework of having to fill 80 minutes of a CD. I think Invincible is not as potent as it could have been if he left some of the tracks off of the floor. That's how I feel now. So like having, after 20, almost 25 years of listening to the album, some of them tracks that we don't agree on, Latoya, like them joints could have been left off. Like if this album was like 9 or 10 tracks, Unbreakable, Heartbreaker, Whatever Happens, Heaven Can Wait, Threatened,
Don't Walk Away,
Don't Walk Away, Butterflies, I didn't even say that.
Yeah.
Like, and then like 2 other songs, like this album would be like, wow, he left us with some fire.
Yeah.
But it's got Lost Children on it. It's got You Are My Life on it. It's got Cry on it. It's got 2000 Watts on it. It's got a whole bunch of other stuff on it.
Oh, Speechless. I always forget Speechless.
Speechless is on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
that man would have cried if you tried to take them tracks off there. That's why it took 5 years for it to come out. It's supposed to come out in 99. Here we are, or 98, 99. And here we are in 2001. And they're like, you better do something. He would have lost it if you tried to take some of the tracks you're talking about off. But I think that is the wisdom of a Quincy Jones to say, listen, it's not that these songs aren't good, it's that they're not better than right these other songs, right? So let's parse this thing down. And Michael just could not get to that place, and the people here he's working with at this point are not going to challenge him. They're going to say, yes Michael, yes Michael, yes Michael, yes Michael, yes. And so we get the yes Michael, yes, and that's how we get the Lost Children, because anyone with an ear, anyone who can hear, you know, anyone who can hear will go, no, this is for your collection. This is for your collection.
No, the intro was very nice. I like the little.
It's cute. It's absolutely. It's meditative. Okay. Yeah. You want to do a meditative album? We can do a meditative album. Let's do a meditative album. This is not a pop album song. Okay. So let's take it off the pop album song. Pop album. Let's put it somewhere else, and it can go, into the universe. It can go into the heavens. It's fine. It is a beautiful. It has a beauty to it. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it just doesn't fit, right? But who was going to tell him no and take it off? Jermaine probably heard it and said, Michael, what are you doing? And at that point, he's still mad.
First of all, how did Jermaine get here? How did he get here?
He got Babyface back on the record. It's over. It's over. But I bet Jermaine heard the Lost Children. I promise you he heard it before it came out.
No.
Yes, he did.
This is the same Jermaine that has 19 solo albums and 1 Grammy.
Let's get serious. No, let's get serious. He's got some boppers. I bet he heard this and he never mind.
We gonna throw some respect on I Think It's Love, by the way. We gonna throw some respect on that.
There we go.
Shout out to Jermaine. Yeah.
She loves talking about Jermaine. I tell you one thing, she loves that man. As much as she talks about him, she loves that man. He got something. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me I'm not dreaming.
Do what you do.
Do what you do.
But yes, like back in the day, like I thought, oh, like we eating good. We got 16 tracks. Like, I could just stretch this out, especially as a new fan. I'm getting used to this latest flavor of Michael compared to everything I was catching up to at the same time. But with time comes wisdom. And I'm like, oh, well, this could have been edited differently.
MJFANGIRL, what do you get rid of on this album? Because I'm curious to hear your thoughts, because I think there are throwaway tracks, right? There are tracks that you could really do without on Invincible. And Invincible would still be a really good album. Like looking at the poster here in my room, like I'm looking at Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad, Dangerous, History, Blood on the Dance Floor, Michael Jackson's Greatest Hits, History. That's the first album I ever bought of Michael Jackson because I needed to get a sampling of all things. And that's the buffet album. Okay. And you get all the goodness. And then you get to Invincible. What could you take off of this album? What would you say, I don't think we needed that, or I don't, or either we not needed or just didn't go with the flow of the album?
Okay, that's a great question. Number one for me is definitely 2000 watts. I don't,
Amen.
for
Amen.
me, I really feel like maybe if I had the context back in the day of what that was really supposed to be about, maybe I would have been like, oh, cool. But to me, I just didn't understand it. I even read the lyrics and I was like, still not computing. I don't really like that song. I also think that there were more songs than usual of Michael talking about his own experience, which is fine, but it's different than a lot of the other albums. Like to me, like you guys mentioned earlier, Unbreakable. Then we think about Threatened, which is
Privacy.
kind of like Privacy. I was just gonna say that. To me, I understand the purpose of Privacy and like the meaning behind it, but to me, I didn't need it on that album. So I didn't need Privacy. I didn't need 2000 watts, and I didn't need The Lost Children. Do I like Cry? Yes, but I mean, to me, there are a lot of those ballads that kind of like almost run together in my mind. Don't Walk Away, You Are My Life, Cry, like it's all just running together as one long ballad. They don't really stand out when you have so many on the album. So I think that's part of the issue with not having that like cohesive story that usually you can get from a full album with Michael.
Yeah, Michael said I got 80 minutes. I'm using 77 of them. Okay,
girl,
And-
79.59. He just
Now,
Yeah,
but
please. Yeah.
it's definitely one of those albums that by the time you hit like track number 10, you're like, oh, we're still going.
shout out time. Shout out to our Patreon Platinum sponsor this month. Marlon, you are the best. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to support, join Patreon at MJFANGIRL.
We're still going. And I love the album, but I just remember even listening to it back in 2001, I was like, oh, there are more songs. Like it was still very long. And then some of the songs are like 5-6 minutes. So then you have like these super long songs. Like who else? Justin Timberlake does that a lot with these like 7, 8, 10-minute songs. Like why? For what? What are we doing? But listen, if this was going to be Michael's last album, he went out with a bang. He gave y'all everything that was coming, everything he thought was going to be something that he wanted the world to hear. He gave it to you. We know for sure that it's Michael. We know for sure that he had a hand in choosing what was going to happen in the production. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm re-listening to Faking Michael right now, so okay. But we know for sure that it's Michael and that we have his input in this, and these are his producers. I will say, I remember the chatter in 01 about Darkchild being the producer, because I remember people talking about how, he usually works with women, and what's the sound gonna be like with Michael? Is this gonna mesh? And I think Rodney Jerkins did a great job with this album, especially the way Michael had him strung out for 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, just trying to get it together. I remember he said in one interview, like Michael would call him and say, I want to work. He'd fly to LA and sit in a hotel for 4 days before Michael would call him again. Like I'm sure it was very challenging for the people that were working with Michael. But I think that Michael got the sound that he wanted us to hear. And so I'm glad that that's his last album, because we really got a glimpse at what he wanted us to see, minus Quincy, minus all these other influences. This was Michael's like opus almost, I feel like.
This just came to mind for me as well, because we talked about how Invincible was received a little bit differently in the Black community compared to just the general mass community. And I wanted to say, because I remember growing up, I don't remember anything about the History album or Blood on the Dance Floor at all, because I don't think that those are really as embraced. When I grew up listening to urban radio, I didn't really listen. It's just now that I started listening to like Hot 100 stations and all that. But growing up, I was just listening to the R&B, the oldies stations, the hip hop stations. They didn't play any of that stuff. Even like my dad, who's a big fan, who's seen Michael Jackson 5 times in concert, didn't really know anything about that. Like I think I remember randomly coming across Ghosts on VH1 when they played it. And he was like, yeah, I don't know nothing about that. That's weak stuff. That's weak stuff. I don't know anything about that. And I was just like, Dad, like, how could you talk about Michael in such a way? Like, we're fans, you know? But he wasn't like, I think he's representative of a lot of people at that time who had grew up with Michael from Motown, followed him through Off the Wall, through Thriller, all the way up until Bad and into Dangerous, which was New Jack Swing, which was huge then, and even now it's a sound that still continues to sound fresh. But I think he went down a different path when he went down the path of History, Blood on the Dance Floor, and I feel like maybe he came back towards his roots in Invincible, and that's a lot of what I see written down when I look of the critiques of the album now. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I like when you said earlier that it doesn't sound as fresh like as an album written 40 years ago in Thriller. Like, I never thought about that, but yeah, I like it. I mean, it doesn't. I think Michael, like I said earlier, I think this was his opus. I think this is what Michael wanted to do just because he liked it, just because he thought it was great. I really feel like Invincible is that album where he was like, I don't care what anybody else thinks, I want it to sound like this. And so, you know, unfortunately, sometimes that's a hit, sometimes that's a miss, just depending on who you're dealing with. So I don't, maybe he was getting definitely back to his ballad kind of J5 early days, Off the Wall with the ballads, for sure. Because those albums in the middle, Michael was like, I ain't singing nothing slow to nobody. So good luck. He definitely went back to his roots there. But I just think he did what he wanted to do. I think at that point he had done everything. He didn't have anything left to prove, and he wanted to make a new sound and have something that sounded to him fresh. And that's where he went with it. So, I mean, because even the You Rock My World music video, first of all, it was a short film. Let me get it straight, because it was very long. Even in that, you look at that now, it feels kind of gritty, kind of dated, kind of, you know, it doesn't give what Thriller gives. It doesn't give what Beat It gives. It's just like, even the dance sequence doesn't give what that gives, right? But he liked it.
I think because it was what I've read, it was a repurpose from the planned Dangerous music video from like 10 years prior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael said, I done paid for this choreo. So
we gonna use it. Travis, come on, let's get in it.
Right, let's do what we gotta do. But no, Travis didn't choreograph that. Keisha.
I'm being funny. Yeah.
Okay. I was about to say Travis didn't do that one. Keisha did that one, which is why I don't think I loved No Shade to Keisha.
Wait. I think Rich and Tone also helped with that one too, from what I remember. Or maybe they were just in it.
I believe it back. Because around that time, they had been on the history tour. So yeah, I would get that. I would believe it.
But I do agree, because I feel like it was almost like it was like a mashup of like Smooth Criminal and Bad and like a whole bunch of videos put together, redone for the 2000s. But I liked it, but yeah, it doesn't have that fresh feeling.
So this is what I was telling y'all before, right? About like the thematic carrying of things across albums. Like this is evidence of that visually as well, right? So because the video is kind of the way you make me feelish, among other things.
Yes.
You know?
But he got a car this time.
Yeah.
That works. Come on, get in this car, girl.
I was going to mention that. I had no idea for my entire life up until last year, and this is embarrassing, but until last year, I didn't know what Chris Tucker was saying in the end. I was just like, it was just a mishmash. Like, I had no clue. Get in this car, girl. All this trouble you done caused.
Yeah, all this trouble you done caused. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why was that like a mystery to me for 20 years?
That's wild.
You guys are smiling. You guys are like, it was only a mystery to you, MJFANGIRL.
Yes, it was.
I mean, in your defense, Chris Tucker does talk really fast, and he has a very distinct voice.
Yes.
So I mean, and there was a lot going on. Michael in that screen, I laugh every time. The scream when he's like, Chris! And it's just so funny to me every time Michael does that in the video, because I'm like, I don't know if he was prepared for that line or what was going on. I mean, and that video was ridiculous. I think Marlon Brando was in it for 4 seconds and got something stupid like $9 million or something crazy just for whistling and saying now or whatever his little one line is. The video was it was vintage Michael. He called in all the big shots he could find. I'm surprised Elizabeth Taylor won't sitting at the bar. You know what I mean?
Listen,
like,
that would have been the chef's right there. Like, that's his bestie. I don't know why his bestie was not in the video.
Michael loved to cosplay a gangster, a criminal, a thug. I mean, you've got some smooth criminal elements in that video. You know, like Michael just loved to cosplay. Maybe it's from the movies he used to watch. He just loved to cosplay.
Yeah, I'd believe it.
Gangsters and he fashioned himself a thug, because I can't see Michael getting in no fight.
He did and beat it. I mean, okay, can y'all see? Can y'all see? Like, well, I mean, he did, but
did he?
Okay, let me ask y'all this, because I actually think this is controversial. Okay, she just said, and it's true. Like, Marlon Brando got a bag, a real one. Like, how much was it? Like, it was more than $1 million, right?
It was something crazy, like 4 million.
Something crazy.
It was like 4 million for 9 seconds, and 9 seconds for 4 million. It was something like that. Yeah.
Just pause, because ain't nobody ever paid me a tenth of that for 4 seconds of my time. So, you know, whatever. But do y'all think that was a waste of money? Or do you think, looking back at it now, like, honestly, that's so iconic. Marlon Brando is this huge Americana movie star. It's actually, who else could have done that? And it was worth it. What do y'all think, like, the budget for that? Because that was a part of the problem with Invincible, right? The budgeting. Michael, you're over budget. Michael, you're over budget. Michael, you're
was
over budget.
Always over
do y'all think it was? But do y'all think it was worth it to get Marlon Brando in the video, like, for 15 seconds?
I'm a huge Marlon Brando fan. Like, I grew up, I have several of his DVDs of his old movies, read his autobiography, read biographies, researched about him, love him. No, I don't think it added anything to the video. I just don't. And like, I understand where that comes from, because I think historically Michael liked to do that. My dad had mentioned this to me, that at the time it almost seemed like he wanted to put himself in the legendary status early by connecting himself to the Elizabeth Taylor, Sophia Loren, and Paul McCartney, like, you know what I mean? Like, people that had already had that big respect. And maybe he was trying to do that with Marlon Brando in this, but to me, it just didn't work. I think it would have been better if he had had someone that was a little more relevant at the time, as much as I love Marlon Brando.
Do you think Marlon Brando was just too old to like make an impact for a modern audience in the early 2000s? Do you think it was just, he was aged out of like cultural impact, right? You needed to be a movie buff, like a movie, you know what I mean? Do you think that was it?
Yes and no. Number one, I think he wasn't even given the screen time to really make an impact. Like, why did he have just one line? Now, it's different if he came in and did a little bit of acting, but he didn't do anything but turn his chair around. I don't think it was. Oh, and the whistle. But that's not like Marlon Brando is regarded as one of the best actors of all time. Like, the method acting, all that. So, like, I just feel like it was an opportunity wasted. And that's not to say that's Michael's fault. Who knows? Maybe they recorded more stuff and that's all that made it in the final cut. I don't know. But to me, it was just,
I'll
Go
say,
ahead, Randall.
Nikki, to your question, it's a push, because looking back, the answer is probably no. But if y'all remember the video, it seemed like they were setting up another short film.
Yeah.
Like, Michael's like,
That's
I know
true.
who you are.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if there happened to be another video, like if he did Unbreakable, or did something that had some edge to it, the next video, then Marlon Brando probably would have been back, and then we probably would have seen more acting and other things. It was like You Rock My World was like a post-credit scene for an Avengers movie when Thanos turned his head, and you like, oh, like that's what's next, you know?
Yeah.
But we never got to see Avengers Infinity War because they ain't make that, you know? Like that's what I look at it as.
Yeah, I feel like Marlon Brando's scene make me want to like hand him a Werther's original. Like, you know how your grandma used to hand you. You know how like grandma used to hand you, like, shout out to my grandma who's passed away, like discreetly in church hand you the piece of candy. I felt like I wanted to do that for Marlon Brando in this film. Like, Marlon, do you need, or do you want one of them orange drops? You know, them orange drops. Them
that
orange
strawberry
slices.
candy. That strawberry candy.
That strawberry bonbon, that's my joint. Well, I need to go get some tomorrow. Wow.
It just
I didn't even know they sold those in stores. I thought only grandmas had those.
They got them. I felt like Marlon needed some of that. Like, just an interesting sort of insertion, because like as a 13-year-old, I mean, I can go back and say I didn't know who this was. I didn't know who this man was. I didn't know why he was here. I just thought he was an actor. But then when you learn, like, no, this is like a huge, he's huge, you know. I think you're right, Randall and MJFANGIRL. They did not give him enough time to show why he's that guy. And so it kind of gets lost in the moment of the video, right? Because his son is also in the video, right? Like Miko's in
he was the one who said boss whatever's outside or whatever. I don't remember the line, but yeah, he's the one that had the long hair and said something to him. And this video, like his kind of cameo in this video reminds me of, like, I knew who Marlon Brando was, but I also like old Hollywood films, right? It reminds me of like Liberian Girl. When you watch it now, half of those people that were relevant in when the music video was made, you're like, who is that? Who is she?
Yes.
Wait a minute, but time out. Y'all think that people don't know who those people like even that comparison, right? Like I mean, maybe I'm just wrong.
So you gotta think
most
about
people
it, like,
would know. A lot of people know who those people in those videos are.
They know a lot of them, but then there are some people, like even with the We Are,
because they're so big, they're so A-list.
There are some people in the We Are the World that have solos, and I'm like, who is that? You know,
like who?
Huey
like
Lewis.
Huey.
Why y'all gotta go?
Randall, we back now. We're back. Yeah. I was like,
MJFANGIRL, get your guests under control. They are wilding out. How y'all do that man like that?
I'm not real.
How y'all do that man like that?
Y'all ain't see when Michael looked at that man like.
Michael was standing in that corner like, what in the world?
How y'all do that man like that?
Yeah. It was listen. Even like and you know, no shade to Bob Dylan.
You about to do it. You talking about no shade, you about to do it. You about to do it.
But unless you're in the folk community, he's huge, right? We know who Bob Dylan is, but you know, 20 years from now, you look at that, you might be like, who is that man? Like, there are a lot of people, and I feel like today, 2024, looking at You Rock My World, there are a lot of kids that are like, who is that guy? Why was this? Yeah. Why was this so important? Why was this so impactful? And that's unfortunate because Marlon Brando is a legend, or he was a legend. It just didn't age well.
Love Invincible. It's a great album.
Go ahead, MJFANGIRL.
All right, I think that's a perfect segue into Invincible era moments. Now, we've talked so much about the album. I think we would not be able to have this conversation without talking about some of those memorable moments in the era. I've prepared 2 or 3 to mention. And then if you guys have any other ones, TRL and 106 and Park appearances, the Invincible record signing, which we talked about with the blue tracksuit, or as I like to call them, the pajamas, the satin pajamas. VMA surprise appearance with NSYNC. I know that's Randall's moment. So can we talk about those moments? Because I think, as we mentioned all throughout this episode, like, the impact of Michael and his relevancy at the time, like, he was everywhere in that era. Like, truly, there was a lot of moments where you could turn on TV and be like, oh, is he going to pop up here or he's going to pop up there? Like, even though they didn't have that traditional promotion of the videos and all that, he was a lot more visible at that time. So, Any thoughts or special memories in regards to these moments?
Well, I want to hear Randall's.
Yes.
I want to hear Randall. What
I
Randall
want Randall to tell the NSYNC story again.
All right. So for those of y'all that haven't heard this story, so this is the story of how I became a Michael Jackson fan. I usually watch the VMAs all the time, like back when the VMAs was like, well, I was part of the zeitgeist that the VMAs were targeting. I'll say that. I won't say it's not hitting. It's just I'm not the target audience no more. So I'm watching 2001, NSYNC on stage. They talking about, they got a pop song. It's called Pop. And it's jamming. Like, I think it's good. And throughout the performance, they have like some glitching going on. So, everybody's like, what is that? I'm also like, what is that? And so they get on they come around like the round part of the stage and come back to the main part of the stage, and they just say, we must be kings of pop. And I'm like, okay, they changed the lyrics. What's up with this? And this Etch-a-Sketch has dropped down on the stage at the same time, and it says Kings of Pop as they are singing it, and then they shake the S off. I said, hold on, they not. And then they shake King of Pop off, and then the Etch-a-Sketch draws a Smooth Criminal silhouette, and then you hear the scream from Scream as it lifts up, and you see this figure come out from behind the Etch-a-Sketch. And I saw Michael Jackson come out from behind that Etch-a-Sketch. Now, I have to paint the picture for y'all. When he come out, you know how he used to spin. It was looking like a like what is things used to play? Like you rip it and it starts spinning. Y'all know what toy I'm talking about? He wasn't spinning like that. He was spinning like a Lazy Susan in the kitchen, more so. But still, I was like, hey, yo, this is the first time I'm seeing Michael Jackson live in my lifetime, like on TV on the program I'm currently watching. I'm not watching no pre-recorded concert. I'm not watching no short film. Like, I'm watching Michael live. And I'm on the floor in my bedroom at home watching the TV in my room, and I'm like, I'm freaking out essentially. And I ain't never been. I'm almost like, my God, like Kevin Hart, like that's how I'm at right then. And so I swear to y'all, like I'm in my parents' house looking for this bad cassette tape. I'm looking for that dangerous tape that my mom used to play in the car that I was telling y'all about in the summers of 96 and 97. I go out and cop the 2001 special editions. I'm like, where that Invincible album at? This is the moment that activated me. Like, this is the moment that turned me TF up. And since then, it's been on and popping. That's when I got on the forums, been back in the forum days. So like 2001 and on. Like I said, LimeWire, Kazaa, all that. I was active. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, this is when I also discovered Blood on the Dance Floor. When I go get the special editions, I'm like, I ain't heard nobody talk about this album. What is this? Like, I ain't seen Ghost yet. I ain't heard of it. Is it scary? I ain't heard of nothing, from the mid 90s. So I was live at that point. And there's another
this year baptism.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And there's another moment after the moment that I'm gonna let y'all go.
I love that story, Randall. Oh my God, I love that story. And for somebody like me, who I was a huge NSYNC fan, I love NSYNC. I love the Backstreet Boys. To see Michael come out the VMAs, I was like, oh my God, because nobody knew he was there. That was the BET Awards moment. Like, it was like the same level of excitement. Like,
that's what I was about to reference. Yeah, exactly.
It was the same level of excitement. Like, how y'all keep this from us? Like, I'm so glad I was here in this moment to see this. Michael was everywhere. And then I think the VMAs were on the 10th, and then he did the concerts or the 9th, and then he did
it was right before
the 10th and the 11th. So NSYNC was also
at the 30th anniversary show, which MJFANGIRL was at.
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning that. How did I forget to put that in my notes when I was actually at that? Like, I was there for the 10th.
You was at the shows.
I'm
That's
still
crazy.
jelly.
Yeah, we super
I'm
jelly.
Just so jelly. Oh my God.
At the shows. Yeah, I mean, like, now I'm not gonna say it was equivalent to the BET Awards because the BET Awards. Okay, wait. Are we talking? Did we add that into this moment?
You can
this...
add it now.
Were we adding it? Okay, let's add it.
Yes.
BET Awards when Michael comes out with James Brown. This is in that space. Man.
Iconic.
The next day at school, everybody was like, "Did you see the BET Awards? Did you see Michael Jackson?" Like that was the thing, right? Everybody was talking about Michael Jackson because he looked so good and he looked happy. And he looked so he looked like he was eating, like for real, like beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, yams, hams, dogs, you name it. You know what I'm saying? He was doing all of that, like. And he looked so healthy, and LaToya was there, and so he had family there at the time, so he wasn't alone. And you know, he got emotional honoring his mentor and his inspiration, the late great Mr. Please, James Brown. And I remember watching that back and seeing India Ari like go crazy in the audience, and like the whole stadium was going crazy. This is a space where people were just like welcoming Michael back as an artist, right? We knew he was great. We knew he was the guy, but he had taken a break, and it was really a welcoming him back. So yeah, that, and then NSYNC was a big one at the VMAs. I always kind of look at the VMAs as kind of like okay, whatever, because I also remember is this the time when they were giving him when they were trying to honor him?
That was the next year.
Is it the next? Okay, you know what I'm going to?
It was 2002. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like that.
Jimmy Fallon hosted. Yeah.
Disrespectful. So that's why I always kind of look at that like, okay, whatever. Because to me, you honor your greats. You honor the people who could not exist were it not for their breaking barriers. And it felt like MTV took a moment to not honor that. And then even in contemporary times, we see where they have not always been acknowledging of his greatness and why they even exist, right? So I really appreciated BET for giving that moment of respect and honor to this artist that we can't erase how race fits into this. And he transcended race. He transcended what it means to be a pop artist in America, which, man, Chuck Berry to, Lena Horne to just go back, all the artists who tried to break this barrier. And Michael Jackson he was so talented. You could not deny the impact of what he was going to have on culture and society, and him bridging together cultures. So shout out to BET. Let me give a shout out to BET and Tyler Perry, who apparently owns BET at this point, based on how many movies he has on the channel. Shout out to BET for giving Michael that moment to just shine so bright, along with James Brown in this period. And James Brown just, that perm was still popping, like it was still straight. It was still, everything was cooking. It was cooking. Let him cook. Shout out to Glow. Let him cook, okay? Because he was cooking at that point. And I mean, like Michael to put that cape on him.
Oh yeah.
And for him to not know, and for him to turn around and see Michael. I love NSYNC, but man, you can't beat that. You cannot beat it. And that is this time period. If you were not alive, I'm sorry.
Because it wasn't no YouTube. You had to
YouTube. Yeah.
You had to be there.
Yeah.
Gotta be there.
You had to see it, or you just didn't see it. And I mean, listen, we are fans from an era when it was difficult to be a fan, not only because of some of the things that Michael chose to do with himself, but also because you had to physically do some work to get the music. You had to physically do work you had to be in a certain place. You couldn't just be roaming about. You couldn't DVR and run it back later. Like, you had to be present in the moment and to appreciate those those are memories that we all like. I remember James Brown's face. I can see it so clearly in my head when he looked up and realized that Michael was the one who put that cape on him. It was just such an iconic moment.
Beautiful.
That we saw in real time. And, for all the kids that weren't born in the 1900s, we hate it for you because, man.
You don't know nothing about that.
You don't know about
that. And Randall, I just want to say this, you as the only Black man on this show in this moment, like showing the love and the tenderness and the sensitivity between Black men, right? I don't even think we even like encompass that, but the world was watching that moment of
I
James
cry
Brown and
almost every
Michael.
time I watch that. I pull
Yeah.
that up almost all the time, and I'll be
Yeah.
like, "Damn, Michael was in his feelings for real." And I
Yeah,
get it. I would
the
be
world
too.
was watching. The world was watching how Black men treat their elders, and how those who and Michael inherited so much from James Brown, and then took over the world of music. James Brown had already conquered so much of the world of music. Michael took it to the next level, and for him to honor him in that way, I don't even think we talk about that enough. Just in the space of Black men honoring Black men on the world's stage, right? And Michael did that in that moment. It's beautiful. Absolutely. It's beautiful when you think back about it. It is beautiful.
If you guys were not there, if you're listening to this, go look it up on YouTube. There are so many different clips from this era, including what we talked about and not including what we talked about. Some of these things, especially the Invincible record signing, are in there in almost its entirety. You can sit there and watch Michael sit there for hours and interact with fans. I have to say thank you for being here on this episode with this very honest and much needed chat about the Invincible album, the Invincible era. I think we can all agree that Invincible was a special album, special to Michael, special to the community, special, still relevant when it comes to like certain songs off the album that are still getting radio play, still get played at barbecues, weddings. So I say all that to say thank you again. Let us know where we can find you guys. Black Jackson Estate Podcast. I want you guys especially to talk to us about this thing that's going on right now as this episode comes out, your special 12 Days of Christmas Marathon. Tell us about it.
Well,
It is indeed a marathon.
Yeah, I'm going to let her talk because this is her brainchild. I'm just along for the ride and against my will most days.
Yeah,
So.
I come up with some crazy stuff. This was really just like something to do when we first started because so many people were showing us so much love, and we were like, oh, let's do like 12 days. And it's just become a thing now. We got to do it. So, but it's a lot of fun. We just take it does not connect generally, but we bring some folks on. We talk about different things that are popular, different things we want to talk about, honestly. And so check us out. We're on a podcast where you listen to podcasts, and it's the 12 Days of Christmas. So we talk about different things. I believe if you're, by the time this comes out, there are a couple of days that are probably already popping. So definitely go back and check those out and keep hanging out with us until the 25th. Also, a big thing for us is just realizing that this is such a special time of year, regardless of religion and all those other things. It's a time of love, connection, and community, right? And so we try to recreate that in the Michael space because there's so much to be grateful for and also so much to embrace one another about, right? It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter what culture you come from. We're all humans and we all celebrate and love one another. And that's what we want to share with the Michael community in the spirit of what we believe in and also in the spirit of Michael. So definitely connect with us and check out those 12 Days of Christmas.
Yeah, check them out. And I just want to say our first 2 days this year are really special for me because it's our tribute to Tito Jackson. So go ahead and listen to days 1 and 2. Even if you don't listen to the rest of it, we want you to. But we gave a really, I love our tribute to Tito, who passed away this year. So definitely check us out.
Papa T. And you remember Papa T. You know what I mean?
Love that.
And so, you know, we're going to give so much love to Michael, to the Jackson family. That's always been our thing, to not just love on Michael, but this group that he came out of, this family he came out of, because you don't get Michael Jackson without the Jackson family. So we show so much love and respect to them. And absolutely hang out with us and listen to those episodes.
Yes, and you guys join their Patreon. As a Patreon member of theirs, I have really enjoyed so many of their episodes, their monthly updates. Like as soon as it drops, I'm like, oh great, this is what I'm listening to for today. Like I love how they cover all the Michael Jackson and Jackson related Jackson adjacent news. I love their takes on them. And also the summer book series. They do book clubs. So if you're looking to connect, join their Patreon. That is a perfect way to connect with them and other fans that they're very active in the comments and stuff. So I think that community that you guys have built has just been so cool.
Yeah, shout out to the Patreon fam, because listen, Janet makes the Patreon. If you love Janet Jackson, come in. We talk about Janet. We talk about everything that the Jackson family is doing. And they're still creating, and I think that's beautiful to have premiered in our space in the 60s, and now you're looking at 2024, 25, and they are still relevant to our conversations. That's so beautiful. And we try to really appreciate that and show some love to it. So yeah, join our Patreon and our summer reading series, which is not really summer, it's just a reading series at this point. But yeah, we do that. And so if you like to read, if you're a reading rainbow kid like we were, absolutely come join us. And if you're
Even
not
if
reading,
you don't like to read, we just come.
if you don't like to read, please send us a private message so we can talk to you about why you do not read. Because you should read.
We need to get LeVar Burton on the show so he can he can talk to y'all. You know? Okay. Yeah, our reading series right now is Elizabeth and Michael, the King of Pop and the Queen of Hollywood, a love story. We have been reviewing this book for the last 6 months. Listen,
and it's wild, man.
All I can say is that it's unhinged, and so are we. Come join us on our page.
So much fun. I love it. And I have to say another special thank you to Randall. Randall, yeah, Lego Master.
The Master.
He's been a guest on the YouTube channel for like 6 or 7 years now. It's been a long time.
Yeah, we've been rocking for quite a long time.
Yeah.
That's
so where can people find you? Where can people find you online now?
Still at Instagram at therocfiles. I ain't on the Dead Bird app no more. So you can come find me on Blue Sky if you want to hop over there. And otherwise, yeah, pop up every so often on MJFANGIRL's channel, so you can find me here.
Yes, and go back and watch our old reactions. We used to react to long concerts with KFC and just chat and sing through them. So those were a lot of fun. And
yeah, they were.
Yeah, maybe we'll visit.
And I want to say this: just thank you so much, MJFANGIRL, for having us on your show. Like we've not been shy about this. You were certainly one of the you were the Black creator creating when we decided to start our show, and we said she's out here, let's do something else, right? Because she's out here supporting and promoting Michael Jackson in a way no one else was doing. I don't know if you really knew that at the time, that you were doing something singularly in a space, but we were seeing it and we were watching it, and you were such an inspiration to us. And so thank you so much for it's like almost like a full circle moment to have you invite us on your show, and we're so honored to be on it, because you were literally, when people say like, is what I'm doing making a difference? Absolutely it is, because we saw you. Aww. And we said we didn't see anybody else, honestly, just be clear, like we didn't see anybody else, and then we found you and we said there's someone doing it. Okay, let's keep that energy going, let's do something else to give a space for Black fans to feel like they are part of this space that they created. And I want to be clear, Black fans created this space for Michael Jackson to take it to the world. Yeah. It is not culture specific, it's not race specific, but we are honoring where he comes from and the space and the culture he comes from. And thank you so much for being someone we could see and attach to that, the same way Michael is someone people could see and say, I want to do that. And also let me expand to that. I just listened to LL Cool J's Apple One interview, and so much Michael is throughout that. Okay, he talks about how his first record is a Michael record. You guys got to go listen to it. First record is a Michael record, but we talk about how seeing something is believing, and now you can do it too. And so thank you so much for being that for us. So when we saw you, we said, we could do it too. And thank you so much for having us on your show. We really appreciate it.
That was,
and we love you.
So
we keep calling you because we love you. So there's that. So
yeah, thank you so much. That really makes me a difference, and like feedback like that has really like motivated me to come back and to continue. And I totally agree with that sentiment, like it has been hard. And for me growing up too, like not seeing anyone that was Black talking about Michael Jackson in the fan community. And I felt like all the loud voices were from outside of just outside of the community. So I appreciate having these conversations with you guys, and just I feel like it's really special now that we get to kind of share our perspective. So
absolutely,
thank you for those words.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Leave us some comments. I'm sure you guys have left comments already because I'm premiering this as probably a video. So we're all chatting now about Invincible, but leave some stuff in the comments. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Make sure that you are listening to the Black Jackson Estate podcast. Follow Randall at therocfiles. Check out him on the holiday Bricktacular on HULU. Last year, Christmas, it's the perfect time to rewatch it. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Take care, guys.